Oh,
Nice.
and I've just been hit in the face with pick and bans, veteran.
Oh, wow.
Here we are, first game of the day. Obviously, our match of the day, veteran, and we're already seeing some of the pocket picks on Ruddy influence this pick and ban with the Darius and Yasuo taken off the board.
Yeah, I mean, you don't quite know which strategy you're gonna come into, but you do know that you don't want to deal with any of that. I wouldn't be surprised even to see a Soraka ban looking at this, and you do have that freedom on blue side. The red side are the ones that have to think about the objectively really broken stuff, like the Zeriyumi, Zerilulu lanes, like the LeBlanc static Shiv. There are other Shiv champions, we're yet to actually see them. Well, we're definitely yet to see them with any kind of success. But the Vi ban is very interesting. That's normally something to set up for an opening Zeri pick, but you could also be saying, oh, we're considering the Ahri, we're considering these kinds of champions, the Maokai down as well. That's both big point and clicks are down. So Lucian is what I'm thinking about now. And sure enough, Milio is taken. Currently the go-to with Lucian. And after that, it would be Nami Lucian would be the next priority. But that's the thing you'd want your point and click to go into.
Yeah, we have been seeing a rise in the priority on the Zyra as well, as a bit of a blindable AD carry here. I mean, you could go Zyra Khan, right? Pui has looked incredible on that champion the couple times that he's got it there. And I like that we're getting a couple of these jungle hovers here from Zato, because he has been known to pull out the weird, the wacky, and the wild.
Yeah, I mean, what I would really love to see is a big Nunu combo, but with the Yasuo down, I doubt we're going to see it. They are going to go with the most boring thing you could possibly do, a Cassante blind. If you just want to go in terms of strength, I would say at this point, going Xayah plus Wukong would probably be as strong as you could make your draft at this point. The enemy's not going to pick Rakan away, so then you go Rakan last, or even maybe go into seconds. Cassante, though, very safe. Xayah, very safe. No matter what the enemy picks, Xayah has room to play around it. She has decent effective range of her poke. But the Nico has actually been left open right up until this point. Very interesting storyline going on with Nico right now in Europe. It has actually only received one win at all, despite having presence in every single game in the LEC. And that one win was against a team that was running a substitute. So it's somewhat fake data right now. Yeah, it's somewhat fake data right now at the highest level. Obviously very predictable whether you would go for both the Rakan with the Xayah. But the Milio Aphelios combo gives such immense effective range to that Aphelios and gives them Voxnay the kind of freedom that he can really run away with a game with, that a lot of the things we're talking about in terms of Xayah's like Q poke, etc., doesn't matter so much here. Like, there are loads of ways you can play with that Milio W on Aphelios where you're basically safe into anyone. And that's why Aphelios has gone heavily up in priority. You can't just pick Lynx anymore. He has the Milio. Yeah, you don't effectively outrange.
Yeah, and at that point, the advantage that the Jinx has is really lost in the matchup. And I think the overall style that Ruddy have gone towards, I like that they are prioritizing a little bit more of this safety, because one of the concerns that we potentially had coming into this matchup is that Nativz are just so damn good in every role that maybe the laning phases become a little bit of an issue. But Zyra Khan in the bot lane for Toaster Pui, this is bread and butter stuff. The Cassante for Shihan in the top lane should ensure that he's going to have at least a fairly decent time up against Shikari. And so Ruddy have put themselves in a decent position. They've targeted out a couple of these divers with their next phase of bans.
Yeah, I mean, I would be worried about a Kennen possibly from Shikari if we're thinking about a lane bully. The really spicy pick would be something like a Vayne, right? But it would be Ruddy that we would imagine would bring that out. The Cassante could also be flexed. You could try to hold onto next and just go for jungle, and try to counter Nico. But on the other side, Stefan, if anybody was to take out the Nico for a jungle swing, where I actually think is Nico's best role right now, it would be Stefan. He's very, very strong at that. Nope. Looks like we're going full safety. Ruddy have destroyed everyone's expectations by picking possibly one of the safest meta drafts we have right now. Cassante, Sejuani, Zyra Khan. But these are all rocks. These are very difficult champions to do something to. They know where their weaknesses are against Nativz. It's an incredibly strong lineup on the side of Nativz, right? Shikari, then Voxnay Twist, Vladdy, and then Stefan with them. That's a very difficult lineup to ever have to break. And now you're going to definitely know where the Nico is going. You're going to definitely know what your mid pick is. So then you can know, are we going to put Xion or something, or are we going to put Zapdos on something? I like, if they're thinking about going Kindred, that they pick away Poppy, big form of disengage. So now I wonder if Ruddy try to get a Gragas in their mix, and what that actually does to their damage.
I mean, right, yeah, if you're able to split up this composition from Nativz, it's going to function a heck of a lot less effectively. Aphelios away from that Milio, you lose a lot of that power. Kindred sort of put out of her ult is going to really suck for her. And Ruddy, I think they're trying to cause a little bit more chaos. It's not the Gragas, but the Yone also dives into a team fight and makes everybody worried.
Yep, I mean, the darling of every single co-streamer right now is there. Sejuani with multiple melee champions. Wow, what an insane composition.
Whoa.
But you're also doing Yone into a Nico, into a Kindred, into a Poppy, into an Aphelios. This is an extremely difficult position to pilot a Nico. To pilot a Yone. Very easy situation for the Nico. When there's so much anti-dive, so much counters, you're going to have to play into what is effectively an effective range for an Aphelios. Not entirely sure about this one. They need to be playing really hard to side lanes if they want to pull this off. If you have the Yone in skirmishes rather than a full-on team fight, that's when maybe the immense amounts of anti-dive Nativz have aren't going to be so much of an issue. But from draft, I'd say I'd give it to Nativz, but Ruddy, they've upset us many times in the past. Maybe they have something big up their sleeve here, some big strategy that they want to pull out for this game. But ultimately, I think Nativz are feeling very comfortable, very happy about their draft. Strong picks, strong composition, strong counters across the board.
And I think you highlight it perfectly there, right? And it sort of builds into the mythos that has been generated about Nativz, is that these guys are just very, very good. And the thing is, they are also willing to be a little bit weirder in terms of the draft, right? Poppy, don't always see her in the top lane, whilst Catchcross has kind of made a name for himself as well. Not the most standard pick. Kindred probably should be seeing a little bit more play in certain drafts, if we're being perfectly honest. So not only are Nativz a side that is very, very good, but they are also willing to do stuff like Ruddy and swing different things in the draft to try and make it work.
Yeah, I mean, Kindred feels like one of those champions that should be a bigger priority. You've only really seen Bo play it in the LEC to not very strong effect. But within the ERLs, for example, Scudo over in Arabian League, he likes to prioritize this a lot. There are still a contingent of farming junglers that are prioritizing these picks, right? And you also saw the Nocturne ban come out there. That's another big farming pick. That definitely indicates where Ruddy were going to go with the draft. Because that Nocturne ban means, okay, we're intending to play out side lanes, even though we've already locked in Cassante and what looks like a decent team fight comp. So we must be going for something like the Yone. That kind of pick could have been predicted off the back of the Nocturne ban. But yeah, a lot of respect being given towards Stefan there. It's good that Stefan's going for a pick like this, because if you have 3 winning lanes, right now, those lanes play for jungle. They don't play for each other. You don't shift mid into top, right? And unless your name is Snabby, you don't shift mid into top, right? You don't shift bot into mid. You play for jungle over and over again, so it should be comfort for someone like Stefan. It should be a bit worse for someone like Zapdo, who famously plays these heavy lane... Nunu, he plays Nunu.
Yeah,
right?
he plays a lot of it.
Also, I maybe I'm just incredibly slow when it comes to this, but like,
yeah.
Did you ever notice that the Nativz logo is literally an N with V's, and then if you flip it, it's a Z? It is, no?
No.
Like, it's
no,
an N, and then it's
noticed...
a V at the top and bottom,
yeah,
right?
like,
and then if you flip the N, it's a Z.
I had the N, like, because the N
yeah.
is it just
yeah,
looks
the,
like
the N's
right.
is there, right?
Like, the N's obvious, like, the N's are free,
yeah,
you know? Like,
yeah,
but I didn't...
The N.
I feel like
no?
N turned on its side is just like a Z, like, anyway? Isn't that how it works? Like...
Yes, but you can get most of, like, okay, so the N, the thing above the N, right? The white thing is a V. Below the N is an A.
That's an A. Oh,
yeah!
That's incredible.
They've done the old Fnatic thing, but way better. I'm trying to find the T now.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I'm trying to find the T as well.
That's, like, it's so good, no? And there's a graphics guy out there who's like, I just did.
Yeah, no, I did.
What are they doing?
It's like, did you ever hear this? Did you ever hear the story about, like, the Nike tick? Did you ever hear this?
There's a story.
Right. So the Nike tick, obviously that tick thing, I think it's called the swoosh. but incredibly like famous global emblem of one of the biggest brands in like sportswear, right? And it was designed on a napkin in 5 minutes in a restaurant.
Based. Extremely based.
Just like, just did it.
That reminds me of, apparently Pixar did the plot for their first 5 movies over the same lunch. Right?
No.
They just brainstormed
That's
the plot.
unreal.
Yeah. Everything from Toy Story to, I think, Finding Nemo, they just did over lunch. One lunch.
That's one heck of a lunch.
All of those movies.
That's one heck of a lunch.
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
You gotta be eating good to come up with like bangers like that.
I'm just trying to find the tea. I'm just trying to find the tea. There has to be a tea here. I found every other level.
I want to know the restaurant. Like the sort of place where you could just go like for one lunch and then come up with some like incredible piece of pop culture.
True.
I don't know that. Oh.
It is. But, okay, wait. But maybe you make the eye.
Yeah.
By like removing one of the lines, and that makes a T on the other one.
Ooh. Oh, it's like those rearrange the matchstick problems, and you can like move them around and stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a delay, unfortunately. I
didn't assume that they were just so enamored by the conversation.
No, all the players were actually watching the stream and had asked to pause so they could listen to what we were talking about. Yeah. Yeah, we have just had one of the observer PCs has crashed, so we're going to restart that and hopefully get into game as soon as possible. But, Veteran, to sort of bring it back to this matchup, obviously our match of the day, and the implications for it, right? Because we can talk about Ruddy and Nativz being two of our sort of stronger teams in the league right now, but if Nativz grab the win today, they're moving to 6-1, and Ruddy would be down at 4-3, which would be... Are you all right?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the Nativz logo?
Angle reveals
you're still looking at the Nativz logo.
Blown it up on my seconds.
Well, what have you discerned about Nativz' chances in this game from staring at their logo?
High. I mean, they should have a strong laning phase. Stefan should be able to bounce off of that to have a strong jungle phase. And then the side lane groupings that Ruddy want in the mid game, I mean, that's just going to be very difficult for them to do, right? Shouldn't say side lane groupings. Side lanes away from groupings should be incredibly difficult for them to do. It's not as simple as you just plop your Yone off on top. If you plop your Yone off on top and you guys go mid, but you're losing bot wave, you're being pressured already on mid wave, Yone isn't already creating a pressure point on top, then it's really easy for Ruddy to just shift into numbers towards the Yone lane, and you can't really do anything about it, and the Yone can't farm, and you don't have a split push comp at that point. You just have multiple people waiting under tower for something to happen. So the fact that I don't see them getting ahead early creates an issue, right? At that point, you have to win a fight. You have to force. You have to be ganking mid proactively. You have to be fighting these Drakes, fighting these Heralds practically, because you'll probably come in second. If you're going to come in second on Herald, on Drake, then what you want is you want burst, you want lockdown, you want damage, and that's what all these kinds of melee champions will give you. And if you can come in second and start a fight and win a fight, that's the way that you can start getting ahead of the game. So Ruddy, they have to play very, very violently if they want to win this out. And Nativz, can you just, like, link me up with this graphics guy? Because I can't...
Well, it looks like Ruddy might be initiating some violence at level 1. Pui with the grand entrance, Shikari knocked into the air, flashing away. So Ruddy recognizing the need to get a little bit creative versus the league leaders and already burning the top laner's flash.
Yeah, I mean, Nativz lacking an I, lacking a T, and now lacking an F.
F's in the chat, please.
Maybe it's with a weird accent, right? It's not Nativz, it's Natives. You know?
Natives. Well,
Natives.
there isn't an apostrophe in there. There isn't an apostrophe, so I don't feel like you're contracting anything. Unless it's just like an accent thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe, I don't know, they're technically from Ireland.
Well, they are, like, they're an Irish.
They're an Irish.
I'm not going to try and say natives in an Irish accent, because, like, my Irish accent is not good, you know?
Fair enough. Oh, maybe it's in the black lines.
In the what?
Well, because it's all highlighted by these black lines, right? It's not just.
And that's where are we able to bring up, like, depending on how long this pause is going to last, are we able to bring up the Nativz logo so we can have like a proper like rundown?
I can low-key see the T. Yeah, I can low-key see the T.
I can't see the T. I can't see the T. Okay, we're in game, right?
Wait, okay, look at the very top right there. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's where we need to be focusing right now.
Yeah, look at the top right there on the logo, right? Okay, you see between the white and the pink lines that are going up, right? You see between that, there's like that black line. Yeah, yeah. You see the T. Yeah. And then there's the black line that's going across.
I don't know.
The white and pink at the top. That's a T.
Oh, no, it is. It's like a shifted. It's like an MC Escher kind of thing in terms of the perspective and.
Yeah, it's a T.
Nah, that's crazy. Actually, that's actually unreal. Yeah, the Nativz logo graphic designer. Some guy on Fiverr is like, yes, no, amazing, great stuff.
And if you combine both T's, because the T's obviously mirrored on the other one, you just get an I with the two crosses on top.
Incredible
on
stuff.
top and bottom. I found it all. I've cracked it. I cracked the code. I'm like that guy in the Da Vinci Code, but it's nothing to do with Christ.
What, Tom Hanks? Is he not?
Yes.
Did he not crack the code? I've not seen it. I've not read it. Oh, I don't actually know that much
spoilers.
about.
Wait,
oh,
spoilers.
Yeah, oh no, spoilers for the Da Vinci Code. Oh.
Yes.
I care a lot. Zapdo looking for a mid lane gank here onto Vladdy, who's a little bit far up here on the Nico with a wave coming back into him. He's kiting towards the Sejuani, but Ruddy not pulling the trigger just yet. There, the Arctic Assault forward. Then goes the Flail. Couple of stacks of the passive on Nico, but with the snare coming through, Vladdy is going to avoid the gank without even having to spend a flash.
I'm quite surprised that when Vladdy went so aggressive on the cannon, that wasn't the signal to just go all in.
Zapdo did spot out Twist there, but I'm not sure if he knows that Stefan's behind him. He's going to be able to spot out the Kindred now, and Nativz jungler potentially on the wrong side of things. MV carry, the rest of Ruddy moving over. We're going to be having a little bit of a brawl here at the 3-minute mark. And MV carry, Zapdo trying to make it happen onto Stefan, but the Kindred is just out of range of the stun. And Voxnay moving over with that Q is going to be able to get the root down onto MV carry. First blood for Stefan, as Shehan's going to be here as well. Ruddy going for a little bit of an ARAM in the mid lane, but once again, the Kindred escapes, and it's Nativz who walk out with first blood.
1 HP all around. The big thing that happened there was then Voxnay landing the green Q. That actually is what ended up securing the kill. He did that before any of the setup came in. That came in on his potential route. But Ruddy, they had to make something work there, because that wasn't just a play to fix mid lane. The whole time this was happening, this bot wave was slow pushing in towards Nativz. And I'm getting a little bit tripped up by the fact that Nativz on the right and Ruddy is on the left at the top.
that is throwing me off a little bit.
I was thinking,
we can get that.
Yeah, I was thinking, am I trolling here? But no, Ruddy lost a lot on that bot lane for going and matching that play. Like we were saying, in the middle of the much more interesting Nativz logo talk, they have to be the ones pulling the trigger, making these fights work, but they weren't able to do so. Very slim HP bars on the side of Nativz, but that's not going to really net you anything. Look at the CS differences in mid, look at the CS differences in bot. That's pretty huge. Nativz feeling in a very strong position right now. They even got a kill, right? They even straight up got a kill onto their jungler, who now has guaranteed winning lane setups. Looks like they're leaving them Voxnay on mid there while Nico pushes out bot. They might try to do a reswap of this.
Yeah, I mean, so, because after all of that skirmishing went on, Vladdy did teleport down into the bottom lane. I think there was a fairly significant wave being pushed in there, which is why he picked that one up. And it does look like they're just looking at the minimap that Nativz are going to be swapping around the laning assignments and returning to Voxnay, the adult, to the bottom lane.
Yep, and by maintaining that duo lane in mid, they pretty much guaranteed the scuttle on top side for Stefan. Stefan's already pressed B. Look at the item difference between him and Sejuani at this point. He can do whatever he wants, whatever he pleases. Zapdo, though, he's like, I'm trying to find an angle. Shikari's already warded it. He knows too much. He knows too much. There's just going to be a wave fix on top lane trying to get Shehan out. It's not quite going to work. Shin's wave is not fixed.
Might be losing a kill here. Shikari going aggressive with the level 6 dash away from Shehan. That was very, very close, but for Ruddy, it's going wrong in the laning phase, and Nativz are bleeding out even more advantages.
Everyone's living on 1 HP here. Oh. Again. Again. They all just... He has teleport. He has 2 HP bars. It's actually not that big a deal. It's a pretty good trade for him because Vladdy does not have teleport. So Vladdy has to hard shove in this next wave and has to recall that way. If he's not able to insta-burst this wave, then honestly MV Carry has a window that he could play in towards Vladdy here. It looks like he did get the crash. It looks like he will be going back. On bot lane, you're not level 6 yet on either of these bot laners. You really don't win into them box lane until you hit that point. And then, honestly, it's just easier for you to survive. These lane setups are so strong for Nativz, and they're already ahead. Oh, it looks like a difficult run, but it's not going to become a slow game at any point, right? We're looking at this Herald. It's a 7-minute timing on bot lane. You're already seeing Milio lean towards mid, but you could see Ruddy move towards the topside Herald because they're the ones that want the fight. They don't just want some meager bit of economy on Toaster in exchange for the Herald. They're the ones that want the fight, so you could definitely see them move towards topside, and we could see what Stefan chooses to do over that, because he doesn't have a Drake to just trade for right now, right?
100%. And I think, I like that you do highlight that it's not going to be a slow game, because Nativz have upped the tempo, right? They don't tend to die too much. They don't actually tend to get too many kills in comparison to some other teams near the top of the table, because they're just so efficient with the way that they play, and they take as many resources as they need to win the game, and they don't give their opponents very many opportunities to come back into it. And so that's why you see that only a single first blood. They're already 1,500 gold to the good. But Ruddy, they want to make a play for this Herald. We've been waiting on this mid lane for a while now. Vladdy has the flash. MV Carry going to go forward. Doesn't land the knock-up with a Q. And once again, the Nico able to absorb pressure and get out just fine.
Yep. But Yone will take that wave that he's not going to get too hard pressured for. A lot of controls taken topside for a Herald that doesn't even end up getting started. Sejuani on reset. And Tosi's just going to collect this wave bot. Pui's going to come back bot. They weren't able to find the fight. Stefan was like, I don't really care if you're going to set up for this. I don't think it's real that you do it. I'm going to keep farming to bot side. And honestly, if you do it, I'm going to go into your bot side jungle. Looks like they're fighting on mid.
Yeah, they're fighting in mid lane. MV Carry taken low. Ganked by Stefan, who's going to claim his second kill of the game on the Ruddy mid laner. And the Kindred is starting to snowball. Nativz are going to be very happy.
Yep, Zap though also trying to find something on bot, but there's just no reason for them Voxney to have to step up there. His team's made a successful play in mid. The enemy knows that that Stefan, has moved upside towards Shikari's lane, towards that Herald to start it, so why would you show out there anyway? Ruddy are the ones still trying to find fights, but Nativz, the moment they find the fight, they execute on it well, they get a kill, and they start taking control of the entire map.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that they're able to grab a Drake. They've got that Rift Herald now on for Stefan. He's going to be able to shove that in one of these lanes, grab some more plates, and Zapto is trying to make a play on the bottom lane, but he's going to get spot out by Denvoxley and Twist.
MB is. I think Stefan's happier that these Krugs go to Denvoxley than go to Zapto.
That camp, the camp just takes way too long to clear, man. It just feels bad sometimes. Pui does have level 6. MV Carry is here as well. Ruddy are going for a dive, but a TP is going to come through in response, and Stefan is here as well. Ruddy, they need to make this play work if they're going to win. Shikari doesn't want to flash over the wall, doesn't want to go too far forward. So Nativz, they invest enough resources to prevent Ruddy from going for the play. And maybe they're going to try and grab some more. Double root from Vladdy has the ult. That's a flash tackle into the wall, and Pui is taken down.
Again, Ruddy tried to find the fight, but it's Nativz that find the kills. Big thing there. Poppy actually had full priority on top lane, had already crashed a wave on top to do that defensive TP on towards bot side. If the play ended up being a very fast one, she would have even been topside to be able to catch that wave as well. Nativz full control of the map allows them to defend from absolutely any angle, and you can see already going into the mid game, it's going to be very difficult for Ruddy to get any kind of tempo, any kind of pressure on their split push, not just because of the lack of kills, but that Herald's been dropped on bot lane. That wave's getting shoved all the way into tier 2. Ruddy are going to be ahead on the map at almost every point now.
Oh, it's a full first tower, barely at 11 minutes onto the Voxley, and this is what we're talking about Nativz being an efficient team, right? They've got 3 kills, but they've got a 4,000 gold lead, and they've already taken one of the enemy structures off the board. That's why this team is #1 in the standings.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, good teamwork, good individual play, good drafting. This team has it all right now, and Ruddy are feeling every single bit of that pressure, every single bit of how much Nativz, honestly, in this game, they are outclassing them, and what Ruddy have to do is they have to scrap, they have to brawl their way back up. We've counted Ruddy out before, and they've been able to do it. It is a bit of an issue, though, when that Kindred's 201 and is ahead of both AD carries in the game.
Oh, it's really unfortunate! Flash for flash in the mid lane, MV carry not going to go down for the 3rd time. But you see that pressure there from Stefan coming into the mid lane. What does that look like for Ruddy, right? Because you said that they need to find an angle of fight back into that game. I'm assuming we're talking outnumbered. I'm assuming we're talking about playing on these first mythic spikes when they eventually come in, or potentially going for a catch onto the enemy Kindred when she is isolated in the river. Stefan buying time with the lambs at rest by flashing away over the wall, healed to stay alive by Twist. Just about gets out of there.
So,
try and do that, I assume.
Yeah, we were basically getting a demonstration, but the big thing that happened mid lane there is that Nico no longer had the ultimate, right?
Yep.
But MB carry still did. And you want to play around those kinds of misaligned timings. If Nico doesn't have R, but your mid laner has R, then you're more favored in the fight. If the enemy burns these ults but don't get kills in individual situations, that makes your group situation so much stronger. And right there, Stefan went in there. He saw Yone come in with the R. His Nico had nothing like that to come in with anymore. That was a fight that Ruddy could have won, but once again, just barely gets away on minuscule amounts of HP. So many times Ruddy have just barely been there, 1 or 2 autos away from a fight completely in their favor. A fight that they so desperately need. But now we're just 5k gold down at 13 minutes. But those timings, that's still what you need, right? If those timings happen again, then that gold lead doesn't necessarily exist anymore.
Yeah,
if you don't have the abilities to use that gold with, it doesn't really matter that the gold lead exists at all. You can start checking those things off. So those are the angles that they want to fight. And they did just find one. Find it again and again and again. And hopefully eventually it works. But it needs to work before the game is unlosable for Nativz.
That's the key thing, right? Because every one of those plays that you go for and it doesn't work, that's another 1,000 gold for Nativz, right? And it's the right idea to go for the play, but it only ends up being the right idea. It only ends up working out if the play is actually successful. And based on Ruddy's ability to kill Nativz at the moment, those plays not looking too successful. Post 14 minutes now, so we should be seeing a few more towers falling the map, opening up a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I do think plays being, like, you know, successful is probably better than plays not being successful.
Play-by-play analysis. Oh, that's not good. I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that having your jungler being in the game is good for you, veteran.
He is good. It's generally good. If he's on the map, if he has gold, you know, if he's able to fight, if he's able to just tank 4 people over the Drake for ages. These kinds of things are characteristics I would love in a jungler, right? Okay, can we just blow up the Nativz logo? Like, I just need to sell. Like, can we just blow up the logo? And then, do you guys have like a pen or something?
Epic
you
pen,
can,
like sort of thing that we can go for. Oh.
Yeah, something like that. We need to get that sorted, you know?
like genuinely. Every time I see that stinger, I'm waiting for it to just go to a massive Nativz logo.
True. That's what I thought we were gonna get. But they were like,
do you know what? Hey, do you know what? Sammy Youngles, I know you're listening. If you win this game, we know what the win graphic is looking like. Okay?
Yeah. Yes. You have to point it all out. You have to point it all out, Sammy.
It's got to be done. Nativz logo breakdown stream when Nativz, well, tower taking
there you go.
Stream when okay, play on the sideline, successful for Ruddy, but Shikari's going to be able to get one back with that TP, flashing over the potential knockup from Shehan. Twist rotating over on the melee, potentially not the most impactful support to Roma, but Stefan looking to cause some damage as well. Ruddy, they're locked under this tower, there is no escape. I
mean, you want to talk about the range that the Aphelios gets, right? the range that Kindred on 4 marks plus Emilio
yeah.
gets is absolutely disgusting. We've sometimes seen Emilio-Lucians go into Kindreds specifically for this. He's dead.
Yeah, just completely removed from relevancy, from existence. Nativz with another clean pick for themselves, but Ruddy still on to get shut down for Sheerhand, going all out on the Cassante, having to flash away. Voxney also joining the play, maybe going to go home soon as flashes away from Sheerhand there, and he's able to return with a little bit of flamethrower damage. Ruddy still fighting back against Nativz, but they're the ones who are building the gold lead, who are building the advantages over time. Off your screen, Voxney able to take down another tower. So there's Aphelios, whilst he hasn't got a kill for himself, very, very accelerated compared to Toast Desire.
A couple of good things Ruddy did there, right? Because it's really easy to point at the good things Nativz did there. They existed, they weren't inting, they killed everybody. Brilliant, good job. With Ruddy, right, their bot lane duo of Toaster Pui, they actually distracted Kindred for a while. I almost thought MB Carry had enough time to just press B under the base. I'm pretty sure he did have enough time to just press B under that tower and get back in towards base because of the amount of delay that Toaster Pui did on the Kindred roam. The other thing is, big copium here, right? But Cassante is a champion that win ahead is almost unkillable, right?
True.
Duels everybody, no one can take him out. Very good champion to get ahead, a very good champion to collect that bounty. Now, obviously the Poppy is 3-0 with 400 gold bounty, so it's not quite as big, but look at the items. The items are now on parity for the Cassante. You're almost there in an effective lead stats-wise, and a Cassante with an effective lead stats-wise is one of the scariest things in the game right now.
Yeah.
Just ask any or Chinese or Korean equivalent of Twitch chat.
Just to ask anyone that has experienced League of Legends, it feels like.
True.
For Ruddy, though, I think these are valid points that you bring up, right? Because Nativz, they're all about that team fight. I think as we get later and later, it's just about getting all the circles to overlap on top of each other and one-shot Ruddy. If that isn't happening, then that causes issues, and that's not going to be happening if your backline is constantly having to deal with Sheerhand on the Cassante, constantly having to deal with MV Carry, now completed that Gale Force on the Yone, so whilst the gold lead, yes, still in favour of Nativz, whilst still the expected team to close out this game, Ruddy have angles. Ruddy have options.
I mean, one big thing here is that one Drake that Ruddy got is buying them so much time. And I'm not saying they outscale, right? I'm not saying they outscale. But there is a point where the Yone is going to melt the HP of his opponents, and you do need your team to get to at least that point before you can do anything effective. If this was already sole point for Nativz, the game is already completely over. The game is very one-sided as it is, but there are angles, right? And Shiani is feeling it. Shikari's realizing this Cassante is not a pushover anymore.
No, and it's starting to come into that little bit of 1-3-1 setup that you were talking about here. MV Carry here on the bottom lane, and we actually saw them able to take a decent chunk out of Vladdy's HP bar, so despite the fact that Dione hasn't exactly popped off, still going to be fine in that side lane in the 1v1 scenario at least.
Yep. Still behind in gold and CS, but ahead in kills. Behind in the assist, but does have 1 kill for 0. So he could trick himself into thinking he's ahead of Vladdy, you know? That's a possibility.
You just like copy-paste the first bit of your scoreline. You see, like, I've got a kill, I've got a kill. Deaths, assists, what are we... No, not relevant. We don't need to talk about those.
Being delusional about your reality is the first step towards making the reality that you want to be. Right.
That's one of the best
lines.
That's like LA mindset, right?
True. Yeah, I don't know if you do that, but sometimes like I'll just be scrolling through Twitter, right, and I'll see a tweet and be like, "That's an LA tweet. That's an LA. This guy, they're from LA. Yeah,
Los Angeles moment. All right.
Every time.
Then Voxney completing the sweep of these outer towers as he's taken down a third one. I'm sure that he'd much prefer to be killing champions, but he's helped Nativz get themselves to this, well, incredibly dominant map state, and now that we're sort of getting into the post-20-minute mark, stuff like Baron, stuff like Souls becomes stuff that we need to be aware of, and that Ruddy are going to have to contest from Nativz.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate interaction there from Nativz, insofar as Voxney really wants to be killing, but Ruddy would really prefer not to die. So he's not really finding those angles right now until that next Drake. That's what Ruddy are trying to get to, right? They want to get to that next Drake. They want to burn some cooldowns before that if they can. They want to play these side lanes out, and they want to fight.
Stefan?
They think they found it.
Oh, Zapda goes wide with the ultimate. The Kindred kiting back as far as she can.
R.
Last respite dropped as that's the Vladdy ultimate as well, but it's not landing. The buttons aren't connecting onto each other from Nativz, and Ruddy have a chance. Shihan diving forward, but in the pits, it's chaos. It's damage being shut down. Toaster continuing to open up with the autos onto Squish. Shikari a little bit on his lonesome Pee-wee, rejoining the fray. And Ruddy, they're turning it around. They are fighting a fight in the river. They're getting a quadra kill for Toaster, and they're not done.
Okay, now people can't say that I'm just inhaling copium in the chat, because you see the power these guys have if they can close the gap. We talked about ultimate timings beforehand, the Nico versus the Yone. Envy Carry held his ult through the Shikari ultimate, through the Nico ultimate, burned flash, burned everything to get away from them, and once everything, all of these anti-dive tools were down, that's when he goes in. He has the R here, Stefan drops his R, Nico has R, he doesn't go in yet, he goes in, flashes out, then R's back in with both Nico and Stefan's ultimates down. And that's when he gets all the damage. And he would have killed Stefan if Shikari didn't make that monstrous play on top of him. You can see the power it has when it closes the gap. And even with Shikari's best efforts, Shikari saved Stefan, but condemned the rest of his team by doing so. I think Shikari made the correct play, by the way. But you can see how difficult it can be for Nativz to fight this. If Ruddy are able to close the gap, if they're able to intelligently play around their timings, it's a dangerous composition in terms of damage that you're going into, right? The Ruddy composition is so strong in these fast fights. They want to avoid these long drawn-out scenarios. They want to be like, okay, this is our window, boom, 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 boom. They survive to that window. They can win, even while that far behind in gold. And the gold, it's 3k down, thereabouts, but it's nowhere near the 5k it was before, nowhere near the 7k it peaks at. There's a chance now for Ruddy.
Getting a patch onto Pui, who's going to get taken down by the Moonlight Vigil. Now Nativz, post 20 minutes like we were saying, not going to opt for the Baron, instead going to go towards that Drake. So the catch resulting in soul points, potentially going over towards Nativz. Ruddy, though, moving multiple members towards the Baron. They're going to want to force Nativz's hands, make sure that they have to contest them on this. Yeah,
Ruddy actually didn't rush that Drake off of the play, which is quite interesting. But it's not going to be an Infernal Soul. Oh, we've paused again. It's not going to be an Infernal Soul for Nativz. So Ruddy do still have an additional 5 minutes to get economy, maybe get a catch, maybe get another winning fight around the Drake. And the next time around, the death timers, they're not going to be to the extent where you're not going to be able to just rush that Drake if you're able to win the fight. If. Because let's not act like the Nativz composition doesn't have damage. It does. Whenever that blue gun is up on Affiliates, you basically have a wombo combo open to you at any point, and they were able to use it beautifully there to create a numbers advantage for that Drake contest. So they can't get cocky, right? No. But they only got to this point where they were able to win a fight by playing very, very intelligently, and they need to keep playing so, right? Their composition's fairly easy if they keep track of these timings, if they're patient around it, if they set up properly, if they do all of these things, then yes, just press your buttons, smash your head into the enemy, boom, right? But they can't get lazy now. If they want to win this game, and it is a winnable game for Ruddy, you know, they need to be a bit more patient, a little bit more reserved. Can we get that Nativz logo on my screen?
It's very important, needs to happen right now. But for Ruddy, right, we discussed before this game what the sort of implications of this were, right? If they can come back into this, they will even up the standings with Nativz, right? Both teams ending the first round robin at 5-2. If that's not the case, then they're going to have a little bit more of a mountain to climb in the second round robin. But it's like you're saying, veterans, the longer this game goes, whilst Ruddy may not scale incredibly, they're keeping themselves in it, and they are preventing Nativz from closing out what should have been a clean game for themselves. Ruddy, once again, looking for a pick. Keeper's Verdict going to knock Zapto away. Shihan being isolated. They're not quite able to take down Devoxnay.
Okay, when they went on Devoxnay earlier, they did it on blue-green, and that made perfect sense. Going on now, when he's on red-white, if you're not going to literally instantly delete him, and you do not have the damage to do that ever, it's suicide. you can't go into an Aphelios in that particular gun setup as dive champions, as Cassante has just learned. So a bit of a desperation pick in a situation where they aren't actually desperate, right? You do have the damage. The Nico is not going to build tank, right? The Nico is not going to build tank. Stefan is not going to build tank, right? Aphelios is not going to build tank. Milio is not going to build tank. You're not as pressured as you think. You're constantly getting to the point where you can start one-shotting these people. You don't need to go for desperation plays. You definitely don't need to risk that.
No, you do need to be aware of Stefan as well, because it's not just the Devoxay show. There is another AD carry on the Nativz side, one that has Flame Horizoned his opponent, and is looking pretty disgusting. This Kindred with the Trinity Force looking very, very strong. But if Stefan has to burn that Lamb's Respite early on his own, like we've seen a couple of times, then that's to the detriment of Nativz and definitely not their benefit.
I mean, first off, this game has been complete Jungle Kingdom. Thanks for bringing that up, because yes, I mean, it was an absolute obliteration. Off of that mid play, the priorities Nativz were able to get, Stefan just completely ran away with the game. He grabbed the objectives, he grabbed the farm, he grabbed the enemy's jungle, right? He's a very feasted man right now, and he's building up his strength for these forthcoming fights. Next off, I think the fact that you have so much power on these double AD carries and not necessarily Sombra Nico is something that can be played around, because the build path for Cassante, as you can see here, that's being very, very easy, right? He wants to get into that stone plate now, but he's being able to go full armor, and because this Nico hasn't been running away with the game, he's not necessarily punished for it. Poppy does a lot of AD damage, Kindred does a lot of AD damage, so in terms of a 2v2, it's obvious. That is not the same way you played last fight, MB. They have to run.
Yeah, no, that's really running off. Devoxay Gale forcing forward, seeing the fate sealed down and knows that he can make an aggressive play, but with that cooldown down, maybe there's an opportunity for Ruddy to get things going. Flashing to try and kill Devoxay, going absolutely mad, but he's not able to assassinate his opposite number, and instead it's Desire who's going to be dropping down for the first kill of the fight. But don't worry, Devoxay also off the board. No AD carry is going to be participating in the Baron fight. Stefan, though, still able to dish out consistent damage, and Nativz holding ground around the Baron, but Sheerhan a little bit on his own point, flashing for an engage on the twist, but they're not focusing the Milio. Nativz able to get a double on their jungler, triple on their jungler as they take over around the Baron pit. I'm sure that objective is the next thing on their minds.
There was a huge angle. First, if MB carry had saved his ult, that fight was over. But there was a huge angle there for MB carry to potentially kill Twist, potentially kill Shikari, and potentially kill Stefan. And Shikari said no. Immediately pinned him the moment that he saw the angle to go for it, and basically won the entire fight off of that. Stefan gets the triple kill, but for me, Shikari was the MVP of that fight.
Incredible defensive play on the Poppy, keeping his team alive for as long as they needed. And now, with this Baron buff, I know a replay would be absolutely amazing, but with the Baron buff now, I feel like this is an advantage that Nativz can sort of use a bit more firmly, a bit more concretely. They've got a soul spawning in 30 seconds, we should be getting a load of pressure in these lanes, and we're going to get a replay as well.
Yeah, a bit misjudged there by MB carry. The opposite of what he did beforehand. Holding it for the enemy team's ultimates was so good last time. But this time around, he ended up being primarily engaged when nothing was actually probably set up. Toaster, I respect this, right? Yeah. So close to getting the kill on Devoxay there with Izar. If he does that, the fight is already over, and now the fight is just very difficult. Devoxay playing so well within his ranges. Bloody taking him out, but MB carry basically removes both mid and jungle from... Sorry, mid and AD carry from the fight. Both carries are down. Who's here, but look at the HP bars on Twist and Stefan, right? If MB carry breathes on them, they are down, right? He sees the angle, and look at Shikari. Boom! No way are you getting on my teammates, does he say. Allows Stefan Twist to collapse on the top side of that fight, then on the bottom side, and now end the game.
They've won the game. They've killed everyone on Ruddy. The base is open, and they're going to kill the Nexus Nativz. In under 30 minutes, we'll take down Ruddy Esports.
That's why you get the big bucks as the play-by-play, able to point out stuff like that. They're ending